Today I'm working on the rear package tray on the 67 Chevelle and really just trying to save it. The previous owners had turned this into some type of race car. I don't know if it was a dirt car or a drag car. But one of the things that I noticed, and I may have shown this in another video, is they pretty much butchered this rear package shelf area. And what they had done is they had essentially cut some holes in it, some oval holes, and put speakers in the car. So evidently it was not only a drag car at some point in its life, but somebody wanted to put surround sound in it. So what I've done, rather than replace the entire package tray, is I've come in and cleaned out the speaker hole area. Again, it was an oval, and I've measured out and cut some octagons in here for some plates that I'm going to put in. Something else that I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and replace the package tray extensions. You can see here where they're rusted through around the bracing. This side is actually a lot worse than the other. You can see that real nice hole there. So I'm going to replace those. I have those parts from AMD, and I'll probably shoot a quick video of me replacing those. But for the most part, what I've done here is sandblasted the entire package tray. And you will see that there is still a little bit of pitting here. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to convert that with a rust converter, and then I'm going to use zero rust on that part of the panel. It'll actually be covered by the rear deck filler. So again, not too worried about that as long as I take the proper precautions. So what I'm going to do here is I decided that, again, rather than just replace the whole entire package tray, which would create a lot more work. I've already doing a ton of work getting this thing basically stripped down to nothing. As you can see here, the roof is off of it. I've made these plates, and what I did is I came in here and I flanged my hole that I created, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to literally just set these plates down on the package tray. And then you can see on this one I've actually cut and modified the hole there. Obviously I'll have to get that all squared away so that it's a little bit more presentable. But I've done that. This one that would actually be flipped over with the weld-through primer on that side. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to just come in with my spot welder. I'm going to come in from the interior side of the car, and I'm just going to spot weld those patches in place. I'm not going to get carried away with the welding. I'm not going to butt weld it or stitch weld it. I'm just simply going to put a few spots around the perimeter, and then I'll probably come in and just seam it with a little bit of seam sealer. I've tried to kind of keep it fairly simple. I had a couple of buddies tell me that, you know, if I replace this entire package tray, the next people that come in, they may decide to go ahead and cut holes in it for speakers. So I'm just going to go ahead and go this route. And hopefully it will look okay once I get it done. I don't want it to look all scabbed together in Frankenstein, but obviously there's going to be a visible repair here. I just want to make sure that it's done correctly and looks presentable once it's all done. Well, I can't remember the last time I provided an update on the 67 Chevelle, but today I'm working on removing the package tray extensions. I'm going to be doing both the right-hand side and the left-hand side today. As you probably remember, I've sandblasted a lot of this car, all of the bracing here. I've got the roof out of it. And as you can see here, now that I've got all the sandblasting done, I've now primered everything. Technically, I'm using a product called Zero Rust, obviously the gray color. I really like it a lot. Most guys prefer to use something like POR, which is fine. I just don't find it as user-friendly. And I could have just used epoxy here as well, considering that I had the metal blasted down to bare metal. So it's kind of just really what a person prefers. And in this case, I like to use Zero Rust. And I've done that on the inside and the outside. So here you can see the quarter braces where I've used the Zero Rust, and as well over here. I haven't done this section here. It's still just bare metal from after being sandblasted. And the reason for that is I'm going to be doing a lot of welding over here on each of the ends, and so it's probably just easier to come in and do your epoxy work, or in my case, the zero rust preventative paint here on, you know, all at one time. So anyway, this should be a pretty straightforward job. As you can see very well here, I've got quite a bit of rot up in this package tray area. So that's why I'm replacing the extensions. I had hoped I could save them, but after sandblasting, I essentially just blew right through the top sections there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and replace them. And again, it should be pretty straightforward. The panels that I'm using are gonna be from AMD, and they are a really nice match to the factory panels. They look really good. We'll see how they fit, but they definitely match up very well. So I'm just gonna come in here, and there's a number of spot welds that I'm gonna have to remove. I'm actually, like in this section, I'm gonna go to the back side and get back here in this trunk area that I have cut out. And I'm gonna cut the spot welds from the other side so that I can basically destroy or chew up the panel that I don't need anymore. You know, you can drill these out with a spot weld cutter if you want, but now you're gonna have those big holes that you gotta weld shut. So I'm going to try to avoid doing any extra damage or drilling holes into the metal that I'm gonna keep there. And so I'm gonna try to get those spot welds out from the back side. And then here you can see there's the spot welds, but they're from this side and they're in the panel that I don't wanna keep, so I'll cut those out from here. I'll just take my air grinder and I'll cut those spot welds out gradually, and then come in the back side and chisel them out, and then clean them up with some 36 or 60 grit paper on the disc. And then here, just gonna get those out of here, and then get those out, and then it'll be time to set this thing in. Now, when I set this new panel in, I'm only gonna weld right in this area, and then I'll weld it to the braces here where it's supposed to be welded, and then of course right here to this brace coming down from the top of the package tray to the side. I won't be welding for now to the wheelhouse, and I won't be welding to this quarter brace. And that's just simply because I'm gonna keep those joints separated so that it'll make it easier and help facilitate getting the inner wheel houses in. So once I get these drilled out and cut out, I'll show you what it looks like when the new panels are installed. All right, so just a quick update here on the 67 Chevelle rear package tray extensions that I just got installed. You can see here is the right-hand side, and then here is the driver's side, the left-hand side. So the AMD replacement panels, they fit pretty well. They weren't perfect, but I'll definitely take those over the rust holes and the rot that I had up here in the horizontal package tray area. So everything looked pretty good. You can see here that I've got them already spot welded in place. I like how they were fitting. One thing that I haven't done yet is I haven't welded these flanges yet to the rest of the car, and the reason for that is I still have to replace the inner and outer wheel houses. So one of the things that you might want to do if you're doing this replacement as well is before you weld this extension in, go ahead, I don't know if you can see from this video, but go ahead and cut that inner and outer wheelhouse flange out of your way. Here's the flange itself, and as you can see right here is where I've cut it out. That'll just make it a lot easier for you when you go to replace the wheel houses, if that's a job that you have to do as well. Because once these are there, they're gonna be in the way. So definitely try to get in there and cut those pieces out. If you forget to do that, it's not a big deal. You'll still be able to get in there and get it out, but it just won't be quite as easy as if you were just to go ahead and cut those out of there before you weld in your package tray extension. So yeah, everything worked out pretty well. As you can see here, I've just got sheet metal screw holding it in place. I had a couple up there to make sure that it was in the right place. And again, I just spot welded everything into place. So the next thing that I'm going to be working on here before I pull this trunk pan up to the floor and attach it, and I'm not going to weld it yet, I'm just going to attach it with sheet metal screws, is my X braces. These, I guess they call them X braces for the package tray. They were completely rotted out as well. So you can see this brace piece here on the driver's side and then on the passenger side here as well. You can see where I'm getting ready to weld those in place. So I've basically fit them and gotten them exactly where I want. And the next step will be just to weld those in place. I'm going to coat the back side of these braces with a rust preventative coating, and also use my weld through primer on the areas where I'll be welding. I'm going to try to use my spot welder up in this area. I'm not quite sure if it will penetrate 3 layers of sheet metal, but it is a good 220 spot welder, so it may penetrate. If not, I'll just go ahead and plug weld. That's actually what I'm going to do here, because I don't want to pull the body up off the frame to get my tongs in there. And I may try to see if it'll work with the spot welder, but I don't think I'm going to have enough room to get back behind there. My tongs are plenty long enough to reach all the way around this perimeter, but I just don't know if I'm going to have enough room to get back behind there. So I'll probably just go ahead and punch holes in the flanges there, and then just plug weld those to the rear seat pan and go from there. So that's the next step for me. Once I get that done, I think I'm going to be ready to put the trunk floor in place. And again, I'm just going to attach it with sheet metal screws for locating purposes. And then I'll move on to the inner and outer wheelhouse replacement.